From the top of the Roskostrach building on Northern Avenue
to the republics of Armenia and Karabakh and beyond.
This is CivilNet's Daily News Digest for Monday, October 7th, 2013.
I'm Paul Chaderjian.
And I'm Maria Titizian. In today's Digest, borrowing from Catherine to pay Yekaterina. Find out where Eurobond proceeds are going.
Plus, jailed without bail for scorching a haystack? Details ahead.
And strengthening the IT industry in Armenia. We'll take you to the Digitec Expo.
Later, going once, going twice. How much will a 16th century illuminated manuscript go for at auction? Cheers and applause greeted Parliament member Zaruhi Postanjan over the weekend when she returned home from Strasbourg, France. Postanjan is a delegate to the Parliamentary Assembly of the Council of Europe, or PACE. She created a stir of controversy when she confronted President Sarkisian after he had delivered a speech at PACE. She asked him if it was true that he had lost 70 million euros at a European casino. The platform Postanjan used to lash out at the president was seen by many as a tasteless maneuver. Before her scheduled arrival, the president's press secretary in a statement said that those upset by Postanjan should abstain from lashing out at her when she arrived. At the airport over the weekend, Postanjan was greeted by cheering supporters.
Late last week, the Armenian government announced that it will use the proceeds from the sale of its Eurobonds to pay back a $500 million Russian loan. In 2009, Armenia's economy contracted by 14.2%, one of the most severe declines of a national economy in the world at that time. The Russian loan Armenia received was to alleviate the effects of the global financial crisis. The loan was repayable in 15 years with a 4-year grace period. That meant that Armenia would have to start paying back the Russian loan in the second half of this year. By paying it all now, the Armenian government is effectively paying back the loan 10 years ahead of schedule. The remaining revenue from the Eurobonds will be directed toward providing loans for small and medium-sized enterprises and partially financing the state budget deficit. Armenia issued its first ever Eurobonds in September, securing $700 million for the government. The Georgian National Front movement burned the Russian flag during a rally in Tbilisi, demanding the return of breakaway regions of Abkhazia and South Ossetia to Georgia. Protesters who had gathered in front of the government building on October 3 claimed that Russia was continuing its, quote, imperialistic policy and called on the government to place military units around the borders of the regions. The dispute over the two regions has been a sticking point in relations between Moscow and Tbilisi ever since Abkhazia and South Ossetia proclaimed independence from Georgia in the early 1990s. Tensions in the region eventually led to a brief war between Georgia and Russia over South Ossetia in August of 2008.
A Cambridge University graduate whose education was funded by the Luce Foundation has been sitting in a prison cell for the past 4 months without the possibility of bail. On Friday, October 4th, supporters of the young man held a protest in front of the General Prosecutor's office demanding a fair trial for Aram Mughalian. Here's the whole story. The scholar and 3 of his friends were accused of hooliganism. The charges came after the 4 friends allegedly burnt a haystack in the Armavir Mars. Nothing other than the hay was charred, but they now face a prison sentence of 5 years each. The case has received widespread attention in Armenian media. Many feel that the accusations and denial of bail is heavy-handed. Last week, Mughalian went on a hunger strike and has refused to drink water as well.
Rare 16th century Armenian illuminated manuscript will be auctioned this month by Heritage Auctions. The manuscript of the 4 Gospels was copied on parchment by Archimandrite Hovannes. It was illustrated by monk Nerses. The work was done in the monastery of the Holy Virgin Plea-Fulfilling or Khuntragadar Surp Astvazadzin. The monastery is located in a province of Upper Armenia, currently Western Armenia, in the territory of Turkey. The manuscript is owned by an unnamed New Yorker. It will be sold to the highest bidder on October 17. The colophon is dated 1584. It has 571 pages with 15 full-page miniatures and smaller marginal illustrations. According to the auction house, quote, "It is a magnificent manuscript in very good condition," end quote. The manuscript is expected to bring over $20,000.
In Southern California, author Kay Mouradian's new documentary, My Mother's Voice, debuted at the Big Bear Film Festival.
Her future and even her life depended upon their whims. Becoming an orphan after losing her family in the Armenian genocide, my mother took a chance that the man in the picture would make a good husband.
We spoke to Ms. Mouradian about what prompted her to write the book that her documentary is based upon.
When I started to read about what happened in the Ottoman Empire in 1915, I became overwhelmed with the depth of cruelty that was inflicted on the Turkish Armenians. And that's when I knew that my mother's story needed to be told, because I wanted her to be the catalyst to tell the Armenian story.
Mouradian's book and documentary will be used by public school teachers when they teach about World War I. She may be reached through her website, kmouradian.com, and you can watch our complete interview by following the link on your screen.
Also this week on CivilNet, Paul interviewed the director of the ARPA International Film Festival, Alex Kalignamos. The festival this year attracted hundreds of filmmakers and film fans to the Egyptian Theater in Los Angeles.
There's 2 or 3 film festivals every weekend. So many of them are culture-driven for and by an audience that's hungry to see a specific type of cinema that they don't see in commercial movie theaters or even, on television. So about 17 years ago, a woman by the name of Sylvia Manassian and a collective of really active Armenian Americans formed the ARPA Foundation for Film, Music, and Art to promote the artistic environment of Los Angeles through promoting the works of writers and photographers and painters and fashion designers, you name it. This organization really tackled it in an effort to promote Armenian artists.
Hear about the past successes of the film festival by watching Paul's full interview, and for more information, check out their site, afma.org.
Digitec Expo kicked off on Friday at the Yerevan Expo Center in the Yerevan Computer Research and Development Institute. The 3-day expo featured 120 local and international companies from Canada, Singapore, Russia, and the US. Organizers say that Digitec Expo helps establish and strengthen ties between IT companies and offers businesses to develop new partnerships. The 9th annual expo was expected to attract 25,000 visitors. Before we go, a few comments about our news digest. Nish Modoyan writes, "Can I just say the English digests are awesome? Myself and others really appreciate it."
And Michael Harutunyan from New York writes, "Maria and Paul, having just returned from a trip to Armenia, watching your broadcast each day gives me the feeling that I am still there in Yerevan. Keep up the good work and continue to keep your coverage fair and balanced."
That is our digest for this Monday.
We want to hear from you. Our email address is english@civilnet.am.
We'll see you tomorrow.